First thing I want to read tonight is it's a letter from a woman that I recently met, spoke to for the first time. She was someone, and her story was something that I had followed for 48 years. When I was a young child, 13 years old, this is something that happened nearby to my home, and as I said, I recently met her because of information that I needed to try and organize this. Her name is Rosemarie Alessandro, and her letter reads, "Good evening, officials, the family of Danny Meyer and all of you here tonight. The life of Danny Meyer has to be remembered and never forgotten. He was a full of life 12-year-old boy whose spirit is among us tonight. I feel that he is surrounding you with his love, thanks, and courage to fight and continue the fight to keep his killer in prison, and that will be as much justice as possible for him, for his mom, and all his family. My heart is with all of them in such a way that it bursts with care and compassion for their extraordinary burden. You see, I can truly empathize because on Holy Thursday, April 19th, 1973, my 7-year-old child, Joan, was sexually assaulted and brutally murdered by my neighbor, a high school teacher living 3 houses away, when she was delivering the last 2 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. We had to fight to keep her killer and the signatures and letters of the concerned community, and strangers helped each time he came up for parole. This was in Hillsdale, New Jersey, and parole laws are different than in New York. He got 14 years, which meant life, and the parole eligibility started after that. But it wasn't every 2 years like here in New York State. That is horrific, and I am so sorry for the suffering on top of suffering that Danny's mom has to go through every 2 years because of the testifying and hardly getting a chance to have clarity. The system is not understanding the ordeal for the victims, and I am wondering if the system would be in the same place if each of the people that decide the policy would put themselves in your place, Jill. I don't think that is happening at this time, but there is always hope for change by the people. In 2004, Jones Law, which is not retroactive, was signed by Governor Pataki at the site where Joan was found 3 days later on Easter Sunday in Harriman State Park in the Haverstraw area. It states that a person who assaults and murders a child under 14 will die in prison. Joan's killer passed away this June after 48 years in prison. He never was able to bring great suffering to anyone else because he did not get paroled. In 2021, through the sponsorship of Senator Elijah Reichlin Melnick and Assemblyman Mike Lawler, the expansion of Jones Law, which will be called Paula's Law, was introduced. It is named after 16-year-old Paula Bohoveski from Pearl River. It will involve all minors that are victims under 18 years old. Everyone, you still have time to email letters to the parole board. The deadline is this Saturday, the 31st. Let the parole board know your thoughts about rehabilitation and about the great probability that Danny's killer will take the life of another child. We have a foundation called the Joan Angela D'Alessandro Foundation that advocates for victims and children, jonesjoy.org. It will give you the information on the child safety event on September 25th. I leave you with the spirit of standing up and doing something the way you are doing something so tenderly and bravely for Danny, his mom, and siblings. It is certain by your actions that dignity and compassion will prevail in remembering Danny and his family."